Hey everybody, my name is Clif and I am back for a brand new video. Thank you so much for joining me. Let's get into this. So for today's video, I'm not going to be doing that whole Daisy and Shy Guy connection video that I said I was going to do. I still want to be able to do the video. However, I wasn't able to get me the Nintendo Switch 2 yet, which also means I don't have Mario Kart World as of yet as well, okay? I do hope that maybe by the time Donkey Kong Bonanza comes out, some of the stores might have some available at the time. Unfortunately, since it's becoming so hard to actually get into Nintendo Switch 2, so unfortunately, it might just have to wait a little longer. I mean, if it comes to it, I might just do the video the way I was originally going to do it, with just like Mario Kart 8 gameplay. But to be honest, I really want to be able to include actual gameplay of Mario Kart World itself, right? Because to be honest, I felt like it would actually give more of a... I felt like with more of it and like that, it would make it appeal much better and like that. But that's just my overall opinion. Alright. But let's really get into the topic of this video necessarily, right? What am I actually going to be doing in this video, right? Well, for this video, I want to be able to lay down some predictions on more cups and rallies that could actually appear in Mario Kart World, right? Mario Kart World, even though I don't have the game officially yet, I have watched plenty of gameplay from pretty much practically so many YouTube channels like that have actually gotten into the Switch 2 and already like posting so much gameplay of them playing the game, and it looks stunning, right? I can't wait to play the game. And even though I don't have the game officially, it's not that hard for anyone to actually learn some of the things about the game itself, right? Even if you don't have the game officially, especially since there are websites like Wikipedia pages and all that can, give the detailed information on these things, okay? And from what it seems like is that for the whole situation here, Mario Kart World has 3 new types of modes, right? I mean, they're brand new things altogether like that, but there are 3 main new modes, right? Well, sorry, 2 of them are new. 1 of them is not new, right? You have your Grand Prix and like that, which features the the cups themselves, okay? And then you have the Knockout Tours, which feature the rallies. And then the other thing is the free roam section. However, we only need to focus on the cups and rallies, okay? Because the way it seems is that each cup has a rally that it mirrors, and vice versa, each rally has a cup that it mirrors as well, okay? So the whole notion and the idea here of what I want to basically predict is that I could see an idea of 8 more cups and rallies being added, okay? Because the way it seems that in the current situation right now of Mario Kart World is that there are currently 8 cups and 8 rallies, and each of those rallies mirror a cup, where vice versa, those cups mirror a rally, okay? So before I really go in and lay down my predictions and ideas of cups and rallies that I think could actually appear, with an explanation on why I think they are best to represent and mirror each other, I want to lay down the ones that we have currently right now, okay? So currently in the game right now, the cups and rallies, we have the Mushroom Cup, which is mirrored by the Golden Rally. The Golden Rally utilizes the Golden Dash Mushroom that is often used a lot of times in Mario Kart games, and from what I've seen from other YouTubers like that who've actually posted it on like the best items and power-ups to use in Mario Kart, a lot of them are insinuating that the Golden Dash Mushroom is probably one of the best things that you would want to get, especially in Knockout Tour. So having the idea of both the Mushroom Cup and the Golden Dash, which is utilized for the rally itself, both of these make a lot of sense, especially the fact that when it comes to the mushrooms themselves in terms of the Mario Kart games, these are 2 of the most recognizable things that are practically used in so many different times. I mean, there's also a few other ones like the Mega Mushroom. However, I would definitely say that the Mushroom and the Golden Dash Mushroom are a lot more recognizable in Mario Kart, so it makes a lot of sense for those to be used to represent each other. Next up, we have the Flower Cup, which is mirrored by the Ice Rally. The Flower Cup utilizes the Fire Flower, which has practically been around since the very first Super Mario Bros. Game. And then you have the Ice Flower, which is basically viewed as the polar opposite of the Fire Flower itself, right? So, utilizing the Ice Flower for the Ice Rally, where the Fire Flower utilizes the Fire Cup, it's like that, or the Flower Cup, definitely seems to have a natural fit to it, and it definitely makes a lot of sense. So, I see no reasons on why those 2 shouldn't mirror each other. It just makes a lot of sense. Next up, we have the Star Cup, which is mirrored by the Moon Rally. This can also make a lot of sense, the whole notion of stars and moons, the whole space situation. Not to mention, when it comes to like the Mario games, especially the 3D ones like that, typically Power Stars and Power Moons are the most common things that you would need to collect in order to progress to the story, in order to get the Bowser, save Peach, save the day, and everyone lives happily ever after. That kind of situation, okay? Probably the Power Stars are probably more recognizable in Super Mario 64, and then, the Power Moons are probably more recognizable in Super Mario Odyssey, okay? So, obviously, these definitely make a lot of sense. Next up is the Shell Cup and the Spiny Rally. Obviously, this also makes a lot of sense. The Shell Cup utilizes, the Koopa Troopa common shell and like that, and then the Spiny one utilizes the Blue Shell, which is probably one of the most common, and, well, not common, but probably one of the most versatile and dangerous weapons that you would want to get in order to take out the first place racer, right? It's basically an automatic homing tracker that automatically goes to the first place racer. However, I don't know if we should really consider it the most powerful weapon anymore, because the fact that there are so many ways for the first place racer to actually destroy a Blue Shell. At this point in time, it doesn't even feel like it's the most powerful one, but I digress. It still makes a perfect rendition of keeping these 2 to represent each other, okay? Next up is the Banana Cup, which is mirrored by the Cherry Rally. This also makes plenty of good sense like that. I mean, you're utilizing two things that we consider fruits. So having the Banana Cup, which can be mirrored by the Cherry Rally, I see no reasons why that should not be the case. For anyone out there who's not familiar with the Cherry Rally or the cherry itself, the double cherry is the double cherry power-up that allows Mario and anyone who uses it to make duplicates or clones of themselves. So yeah, I mean, in my opinion, it only makes the perfect notion to have two things that can be represented as fruits. Next up is the Leaf Cup, which is mirrored by the Acorn Rally. This also makes a lot of sense for pretty good reasons like that. Both the leaves and acorns, you can find them around trees. That's one thing they can probably have in common. They're not necessarily the same thing, but you can find them around typical areas, around like trees and all that kind of stuff, okay? And not to mention, they do have like similar abilities. Not similar in terms of like they turn Mario into the same thing. The Leaf one allows Mario to transform himself into the to Tanuki Mario, okay? And then the Acorn one transformed Mario to Flying Squirrel Mario, okay? However, they do have similar abilities in that they do allow Mario to sort of glide or fly to the air for a short period of time. So that really makes a good notion on why these two should represent each other for the Cup and the Rally, respectively. Next up is the Lightning Cup, which is mirrored by the Cloud Rally. This also makes a lot of good sense and everything. The whole notion of, lightning, thunderstorms, clouds, that whole notion. And you can also see this as a good way to parallel or represent the, in Mario Kart Wii, there was the Thundercloud item that when you got, the whole idea of it was to actually pass it on to someone else before you actually got shocked. So it definitely makes a pretty good sense like that. I mean, it really made a lot of sense to have these two mirror each other. Next up is the Special Cup, which is mirrored by the Heart Rally. I'm not really sure why these two things should actually mirror each other. It could be the fact that they just needed something to really represent the Special Cup, and maybe the Heart Rally was probably the best thing. For the Heart itself, they're actually utilizing the Life Up Heart from Super Mario Odyssey. So, to be honest, I'm not 100% sure why they would choose this, but they probably just needed something, and to be honest, I think it works really fine. I don't see any reason on why the Heart itself would not be a good option. I'm sure there could be other things as well, but it works perfectly fine in my opinion. I see nothing wrong with it. Alright. Now moving on to the second part. Now I will get into my list of predictions that I believe for Cups and Rallies that could actually appear. Now, keep in mind, just because my predictions are on these things I'm going to list does not necessarily mean that they're actually going to be true and actually mean they're going to be accurate. It could be the fact that Nintendo is going to have more Cups and Rallies, but it could be the fact that maybe my list isn't even going to be the right one, and who knows, maybe even the ones I do select aren't even going to be in the right positions and right orders for Cups and Rallies to mirror each other, okay? If you do have your own ideas for Cups and Rallies, please let me know in the comment section below. I'd love to hear from you guys. Alright, so for the first one I have is the Bell Cup, which will be mirrored by the Lucky Rally. To be very clear here, the Lucky Rally utilizes the Lucky Cat Bells like that, where the Bell Cup utilizes the Bell power-ups like that. Both these items allow Mario in the game to transform into cats, where the main difference between them is that one transforms them into the regular cat form, while the other one transforms them into their Lucky Cat form, okay? I thought this could be a good idea to utilize these two to represent each other. It only made a lot of sense for natural situations of it, okay? The next one I have is the Hammer Cup, which is mirrored by the Pickaxe Rally. Now, to be very clear here, I know some people will probably be thinking that it makes more sense to have, the Hammer Bro and the Hammer Cup and the Boomerang Rally. However, the main reason on why I chose not to do that, and I know it can represent the Hammer Bros and Boomerang Bros, but the main reason on why I chose not to do that is because the idea of hammers and pickaxes, that they're more of a tool base. Now, boomerangs are technically tools as well, but they're not the same type of tool that you would describe a hammer and a pickaxe. So I chose a hammer and a pickaxe to represent the idea of these things together, or one could be the cup and the other one could be the rally, because I thought they had much better of a... I just thought it worked a lot more better to represent the idea of these as natural tools in the context of what they're used for, okay? Next up is the Elephant Cup, which is mirrored by the Bubble Rally. Now, I imagine some people are probably thinking it makes more sense to go with the Wonder Flower. I mean, the Elephant Fruit was the most main common new thing introduced in Super Mario Bros. Wonder, and the Wonder Flower was the main gimmick flower used. And while that would be a great idea and it would make a lot of sense, the main reason why I chose not to do that is because I felt like the Wonder Flower had to be used for something else, and that's going to come much later. But I still wanted to utilize the elephant itself, and I needed something to represent it. I chose the Bubble Flower to represent the Bubble Rally, and this could make a lot of sense here is because it was the second new flower introduced in the game, and the idea, elephants themselves, in terms of the power-up, allows us to store water in our trunk in order to spray it on flowers. So I could see that as a great option, and I felt like it made a lot of sense for it, okay? So utilizing the elephant to represent the Bubble Rally perfectly worked in my opinion. Next up is the Drill Cup, which utilizes the Drill Mushroom, and it'd be mirrored by the Rock Rally, which is utilized by the Rock Mushroom itself, okay? Now, these two power-ups are very different. They have nothing in common with each other. However, the main aesthetic here that they can both be found, or sorry, not both be found. Let me be very clear on that, okay? The Drill Cup allows us to utilize the Drill Mushroom in order to drill through the ground, where the Rock Mushroom, typically transforms Mario and Luigi into their boulder rock forms. And, the fact that the Drill Mushroom can allow us to drill through the ground, and the Rock Mushroom, you can find rocks in the ground themselves, okay? So I thought that could perfectly work fine. Next up is the Turnip Cup, which is mirrored by the Carrot Rally. I thought this could be a good idea to sort of parallel the whole situation with the Banana and Cherry Cup. You know, Banana and Cherry utilizes the whole fruit concept, while this one utilizes the vegetable concept, okay? The Turnip Up is obviously a common thing that you might see in a lot of Mario games. It was first introduced in Super Mario Bros. 2, which allows characters to, you know, pluck up, you know, vegetables like the turnips and that you need in order to defeat Wart. And it has become a pretty staple thing in plenty of other Mario games and genres like that. And then the carrot one actually comes from Super Mario Land 2, which is often used sometimes in other like Mario Party games in general, but the whole aesthetic of what it originally was for was very different because it allowed Mario to transform into Bunny Mario. So using the carrot fruit itself, the carrot power up could be a good idea to represent the Turnip Cup naturally. Next up is the Ghost Cup, which is mirrored by the Glow Rally. The Ghost Cup utilizes the Boo Mushroom, while the Glow Rally utilizes the Glow Block. That basically the way it works like that is that it was first introduced in Super Mario Bros. Wii and allowed Mario and Luigi to traverse the dark areas by carrying a golden block inside a glow block, not golden block, a glow block that they can use to traverse the dark areas. Okay, so I thought this worked perfectly fine, and I thought this would be a really good idea. A bit of a side note here, it's like that. I made a mini video, not mini, it's like that. To be honest, I shouldn't overdrive, right? But I've been talking about this for quite a few times necessarily. But the Ghost Mushroom is definitely one of my favorite power-ups like that, and that I would love to actually see it utilized in return. Out of all the characters who've only used the Boo Mushroom itself, only Mario and Luigi have actually utilized it. I actually had this crazy idea that, say if characters like Peach and Daisy were able to get the power-up, I would want them to actually base their forms on the Peepa rather than the Boo itself, okay? And my only argument for this is that when you look at the power-up in terms of its original name in Japanese, it's not called the Boo Mushroom in Japanese, right? It's actually called the Obake Kinoko, which roughly translates into Ghost Mushroom. That's why when Mario and Luigi, in the Japanese version, when they transform into Boo Mario and Boo Luigi, they're actually called Obake Mario and Obake Luigi, right? Obake is basically the Japanese term to represent a natural spirit for ghost itself, right? You know, things like ghost, okay? So if we take that into consideration here, if Peach or Daisy were able to utilize the power-up, they would become Obake Peachy and Obake Daisy. So I think that works pretty fine, and that would be the case here. They become Ghost Peach and Ghost Daisy. You see, the fact that they are ghosts, we can also consider the fact that, you know, Peepas are another variety of Boo, and they are technically a type of ghost. So that's my whole notion on that. It doesn't necessarily have to be accurate, it doesn't mean it has to actually be true, but I just wanted to say that, okay? I really, really think it would be a very good idea. Okay. Next up is the Golden Cup, which is mirrored by the Super Bowl Rally. Now, obviously enough, these two things are not really the same. They have nothing in common with each other. However, looking at it in Mario Kart World, when you're actually going through Daisy's Palace like that, I have actually seen, like I mentioned, I've seen a lot of gameplay of Daisy's Palace and like that, or like gameplay and like that, and there does seem to be a brand new depiction of the whole Super Bowl flower, right? And the main reason on why I chose the Super Bowl to mirror the golden flower itself, or the gold flower, is the fact that when you look at the stem of the Super Bowl flower, it actually looks kind of metallic, okay? Which is a very interesting concept here. So I think the idea of having these two things mirror each other, even though there's nothing really similar with them in vibes, but I thought the idea of having these two represent each other, I just felt like it worked naturally, right? So I chose these two, but to be honest, there could always be a chance that something else could be used instead, okay? And while I'm on the topic here, just like with the Boo Mushroom, the gold flower is another power-up that I would love to see utilized in return. I know a lot of people get really annoyed and don't really like the whole gold forms themselves like that, or like the idea of like the clone characters like Pink Gold Peach. However, I perfectly have no problems with Pink Gold Peach, right? I actually think Pink Gold Peach was a great addition and a great character to have for Mario Kart 8 and Mario Kart Deluxe and Mario Kart Tour, right? I see no problems, even if Nintendo wants her to return for Mario Kart World. I have no problems with that, okay? And the assumption idea here I want to provide here is that, you know, when it comes to the gold flower itself, my whole general idea on this is that if, say, like characters like Mario, Luigi, Peach, and Daisy, I'm just going to refer to these four, I would like them to best represent the four natural main colors of gold alloy, okay? Now, to be very clear here, I need to be very clear on this, okay? Gold itself in its natural color is practically yellow, okay? However, when it comes to it, gold can also be utilized in many different colors, or when it's actually produced artificially and stuff like that, when it's mixed with other metals, okay? So, to put it simple, if you take a lot of white metals and like that, like silver, nickel, or palladium, you can actually mix them to make white gold, okay? For pink gold, or in another notion, and is also called rose gold, the more copper that is added to it, you can change the tone of it, okay? So you mix gold with copper, or with some silver, you can actually make rose gold, okay? And then green gold, which also exists in nature as an electron, and when it's produced artificially, it becomes green gold. Green gold is made when gold is mixed with silver, or with some copper as well, okay? So the idea here is basically aligning with the fact that I could see these four representing the four main colors of gold, right? Mario for yellow gold, obviously this makes a lot of sense. He is the main color, he's the main character, and yellow is the main color of gold, okay? White gold is the second most common option for the yellow gold jewelry that a lot of people choose. Luigi being the second main common character to actually use after Mario. pink gold for Peach, which can be represented as rose gold. This obviously fits her bill. And then obviously you have Daisy for green gold, which can not only be the best thing for her, but you can also look at the fact that Electrum itself is another term or word that was used for amber. Amber is the color of yellow and orange, and not to mention Electrum was a pretty common thing that was actually used by the ancient Egyptians when they were building their pyramids. Okay, so I thought this would be a good idea to even represent Daisy on her one of her kingdoms being inspired by ancient Egypt. Okay, so I just want to lay that down real quick. I probably get too overboard on that, but I just wanted to lay that down. Okay. Alright, so for the final one I have is the Wonder Cup, which is mirrored by the Seed Rally, okay? The Wonder Cup utilizes the Wonder Flower, and then the Seed Rally utilizes the Royal Seed itself, okay? I chose the Royal Wonder Seed because I thought it would be a much better fit to describe the last Rally and Cup naturally. The Rare Wonder Seed would still be a great option, but the Royal Wonder Seed, really, I just thought it made a lot more better vibe to really represent the final rally respectively in my prediction, okay? So those are my ideas and predictions on cups and rallies that I think could actually appear in Mario Kart World, okay? I would love to hear your ideas and your own thoughts. Please let me know in the comment section below, okay?